Welcome to the Berean Remnant. I'm your host, Dr. Bernard Mauser, and today what I want to talk to you about is the book by Jonathan Wells called Icons of Evolution. And those that know my story, you know that I challenged a Christian coworker, give me your best arguments for Christianity, I'll show you what's wrong with them. Specifically, what I wanted him to do is provide me evidence that the Bible's account of creation was right. Because I said, all the evidence, especially with my background in science, showed that Darwinism was true. And this Icons of Evolution explodes 10 popular myths that are used as evidence for Darwinism, things that I was actually using. And so one of the experiments that I really love that he goes through and debunks is the Miller-Urey experiment. And basically what was said in the Miller-Urey experiment, and it's still used in a lot of textbooks back when I was in school, was that Miller and Urey approximated the original conditions for life, the early atmosphere for the planet Earth, and they were able to get the building blocks of life as part of their experiment. And what Jonathan Wells goes through is that's one of the ones that he debunks as showing that there's multiple problems with their experiment and using this as evidence for Darwinism. A second one has to do with Darwin's finches. So as part of his original journal notes, he actually looks at the finch beak variations and tries to use that to extrapolate that, okay, this explains these genetic mutations with the different sizes of the finch beaks, that if you extrapolate this out far enough, you're going to get from these small changes in finch beak variation, the large changes from one species to another. And again, Wells shows that it's just not the case. That just because you have different sizes of finch beaks, they're still finches. There's not a change between species just because some finches have larger beaks than others. So these were two really popular examples. And then you also have, he has a whole chapter on From Ape to Human, which is the ultimate myth. And you'll see this in a lot of different memes, and some of my favorite might include Homer Simpson going through the different changes. But basically, the way you interpret the data and the skeletal remains, is it the case that the fossil record demonstrates that humans did evolve from apes? That's part and parcel of the Darwinistic story. And he demonstrates it's not the case. And so there's a lot of other great books that reveal that this isn't the case. But Icons of Evolution, he unpacks it really well, very easy to access. It's not necessarily written for those who are biologists, but there is a specific section where he's going to refer you if you want a more detailed analysis of this. But he's analyzing all these different textbooks that use this as evidence for evolution and Darwinism, basically. And he shows that the evidence actually doesn't point this way. So I think this is a great book, Icons of Evolution. I think there might even be a video series related to it, but I encourage you to pick up Jonathan Wells' Icons of Evolution. If you're studying the debate and you want to help your student be a little bit more discerning as to what are some of the things that Darwinists use for evolution as evidence for Darwinistic evolution, not small changes, but basically what we would say macroevolution, changes between species. They're just silly, and the evidence does not support the most popular things that are used in textbooks.